afternoon. Good afternoon, wherever you are. And I hope you are doing okay. Thank you, Rachel, for the thumbs up. If you can hear me, kindly let me know. Confidence, thank you very much.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know who answered all. Thank you so much for the reactions. Who is excited to be here? Kindly let me know with your reactions and everything. Wow, people are still joining. Thank you very much. Opeyemi, Chini, Confidence. Thank you very, very much. All right, so we'll be starting right now because our speaker is here and we would not like to waste too much of our time. And let's kindly note that this call is recorded to YouTube. Yes, for those of us that are unable to join through the Meet, we are going to be streaming it to YouTube. So I'm your host for today. My name is Khadija Additional. So I'll be reading Mr. Mike Ojih's bio so that we can get familiar with who he is. So Mr. Mike Ojih is OG with over 10 years of experience in the cybersecurity industry. Mr. Mike Ojih could be called an island of knowledge. He's currently working as a Chief Information Security Officer at Transactional Digital Services, where he has developed and designed security policies and controls to secure the organization's products and infrastructure. He has worked with several companies such as FCA Beanbag, Digital Jewels Limited, Infoprive, and Deloitte Nigeria. Mr. Michael Ojih has a master's degree in computer science from Caleb University. He is also a certified ethical hacker, a certified information system auditor, ISO 20000, ISO 27001, CISM, which is a certified information security manager. He also enjoys meeting new people, listening to preachers and motivational speakers, and also enjoys good music. Mr. Mike Ojih, please let us have you on the call, please. Mr. Mike
Okay.
Ojih, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly very well. I can hear you.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Khadija. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. And
Good
I'm
afternoon,
excited to
Mr.
be
Mike.
here. Um, so the passion for me is always to give back. And then when I was approached, I felt, okay, let's do it. And when Mr. Divine mentioned that we'll be having over 100 persons on the call, I was like, okay, how do I support kind of, right? And something came to my mind like, okay, so I have this partner that I can get voucher from them. So I don't know what the program is all about. My role here is to just demystify the ISO 27001, right? But we are going to play a game, right? So that I can convince them to release 2 voucher for me. So I'll drop some charts here. So it will just be for 2 persons. So the management of this program, I think that's a digital notion, would decide on what other metrics that they will use to uh, give out the 2 vouchers for 2 persons that will write the ISO 27001 leading mental codes. So I have this partner. They have supported me before now. I'm going to type them here before we get into it. Those are my primary partner. And then I also manage a company called Safe Walking Limited. I'm putting it in the chat box. So all that you need to do, I want the management to do for me is convince my partner Info Assure Limited to release 2 voucher, right? I know that currently I'm trying to get the records so that I can tell them that, see, this is what I have done with partnership with Digital Notion, and uh, you have to just release 2 voucher to me so that I can give to the 2 best candidates from here. But it's a collective responsibility. I think as of today, they have 622 followers. Yeah, I just checked it now. 622 followers. So if you increase drastically, right, it will be a good. So all you just need to do is to just follow, right, and then I'll go back and meet the chief technology officer and say, I checked it myself. You guys were on 622. And in one day, it became 822, 722, depending. And I could get out 2 vouchers. And then the management of this platform would decide on what criteria will be used to give. All I just need from you, Mr. Divine, is the 2 names, and then they'll be given that voucher to write the ISO 27001 lead implementer. Hope is in order. It does not contradict the vision of this engagements, right, Mr. Divine?
That's fantastic, Mr. Mike Ojih. I was about saying that part of the reasons why you were invited is to also show your face. Let them see who you are. You're doing a whole lot of
Okay.
things, right, in the community and the
Yeah.
ecosystem, right? So it's
Yeah.
not just to come
Yeah.
and share insight.
Yeah.
So part of you is going to show us. I know who you are. I've been seeing what you're doing. So there's no way you will
Okay.
leave us like that without touching us. Thank you so much. I
Okay.
see you.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay. Okay. So let's see how we can make that happen, and then I'll get out at least 2 vouchers, 2 vouchers out for us and all that. So yeah. So straight into why we're here, right? Is to talk about the ISO 27001. If you don't have the standard, so now 2 things I would do also. The second thing I would do on LinkedIn, primarily they are all on social media, but if my focus is on LinkedIn. If you can do only LinkedIn, it's fine. If you want to follow them across other social media, it's fine also. But primarily is on LinkedIn, right? I saw Nathaniel John's question. I know. Another thing I want to do also for everyone here is I'll share with you a copy of the standard for free, right? It's a paid material. I'll share the copy of the standard with everyone for free. Maybe I will give it to the management of this program, and then the management would communicate that. Of course, I expect that they have the names and contact of everyone on this call, so that you can see what the standard is all about. So I'm going to share my screen, right, and then run us through the standard, right, what 27001 is all about, and then um, if there is time, we can take questions thereafter. Okay, so just confirm you can see my screen. As soon as once you can see, just thumbs up and just let me know that you can see my screen. Yeah, where is this? Okay, okay, let me do this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Hope you are not seeing the wrong thing. What are you seeing?
Oh, okay. I think it's the wrong thing we are saying.
What can you see now?
Okay, I think this seems like the right thing. Yes, this is it.
Okay. Okay. So what is ISO 27001? I think that's a good place to start from. ISO 27001 is the global best practice standard for information security management system. So if your organization, or probably any organization that wants to practice information security, the good place to start from, right, is to even have a baseline, right? The best way you can start to implement security is to implement the ISO 27001, because it has certain um, controls or requirements that organizations can adopt, right, and begin to implement within their space, right? That's ISO 27001. Now, because it's a short class, right, I'm just going to do an overview, right, of the class, right? Now, 27001 has two areas. The first area is called the management clauses, and the second is called the Annex A control. The first part is called the management clauses. The second part is called the Annex A control. Now, the management clauses are mandatory requirements for any organization to implement this standard. All the requirements in the management clauses, they are all mandatory. It depends on the organization. They will choose which control they want to implement from the Annex A control. Now let's delve deep into the management clauses. The management clause to clause 10. However, only clauses 4 to 10 are auditable. What it means is that if you want to really implement, right, it is from clause 4 here you begin to implement. Now, if you look at from clause 1, rather from clause 1 to clause 10 is the management clauses. Clause 1 is just talking about the scope. Clause 2 is talking about the normative references. You can read that up yourself, right? When you get this. Clause 3 talks about the terms and definitions, right? However, where organizations now need to begin to put into place is from clause 4. That's context of the organization. Right. Now, clause 4 has 4 sub requirements. Right. The first one is 4.1, understanding the organization and its context. What this is saying is that when you want to implement an ISO 27001, you need to first of all determine what are the internal issues, what are the external issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affect the ability to achieve the intended outcomes of the ISMS. So when I use ISMS, it's a short form of saying Information Security Management System. Now, the Information Security Management System is the standard, is the ISO 27001 standard, which is the global best practice standard for information security. Right? Now, so what we are doing in 4.1 is, are there internal issues that the organization is confronting that, right, that has an impact, that is relevant, that can impact on its ability to achieve the intended outcome of the ISMS? Right. A case in point would be, from an external perspective, depending on the nature of business, a typical external issues could be competition, because you do not have control over competition, right? So that's an external issue. External issues are issues that you do not have control over, but they affect your business. All you need to do is to identify those issues and find a workaround around those issues. Those are external issues. Another external issues could be change in the economy. For example, increase in forex, foreign exchange. If the nature of the business that you do requires you to purchase forex, US dollars, look at the way Naira is today. Let's say you went to the market to buy goods and you spent, you converted 100,000 Naira to buy US dollar. By the time the goods will come, right, the cost of forex has increased. The impact is that it will also make you to cough out more money to balance up. So those are external issues. You don't have control over it because it is being regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria and by what the economic typically a negative for you to achieve the outcome of the ISMS. Internal issues are issues now facing you that you have control over. For example, with this JAPA syndrome, where people are resigning from their place of work and they are going to foreign countries, US, UK, Canada, and the likes. Staff attrition is an internal, because let's say you have someone who is handling a particular process in the organization. If that person leaves, what it means is that the business cannot function effectively. So you want to identify what are those issues that can affect you to achieve the outcome of the organization and the outcome of the information security management system. Other issues could be that you do not have a conducive environment for work. Anything that constitutes, that is within your control, right? That you can actually put in processes in place to manage that area, right? They are internal issues. So before you begin to implement anything, the standard is saying first, identify what are the external issues and what are the internal issues. Now, when you come to 4.2, 4.2 is saying understanding the needs and expectation of interested parties. Now, and I will use a case in point. If you are a restaurant, for example, I want to use something that is common, and you want to implement this standard. Let me even leave restaurant. Let me use an hospital, for example. If you're an hospital and you want to implement the ISO 27001 within your organization, after you have identified the internal and external issues that can have an impact on the achievement of the ISMS objectives, the next thing to identify would be, who are your interested parties? For a typical hospital, the interested parties will be their customers, which is the patients, right? It will also be the HMO, should in case that hospitals can use, right? Now, HMO can be external interested parties, right? Their customers can be external interested parties, right? Their staff, their employees can be internal interested parties, right? Even the families of their employees can be internal interested parties. Now, the question is, why are we understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties? If you do not understand what your customer wants, how do you build controls around the information that you are collecting? You need to understand what do they want from you. Now, you are in business, right? Yeah. But of the management system, the scope of the management system, 4.3. I have to run quickly so that I can stay within time, right? 4.3. 4.3 is determining the scope of the information security management system. You do not want to spend time and resources, right, implementing a standard and you are no longer in business. You want to focus on what is priority to you. What are the current pain points of the organization? Because the cost of implementing enterprise-wide, you may not even have the money. The company may not have the budget for it. But implementing the standard is very important, it's very critical. So you want to look at, okay, what are our pain points? What are our critical assets? What are the critical space that we use to operate the business? You want to start with that. And that's where this comes into picture. The organization shall determine the boundaries and applicability of the information security management system to establish the scope. Right? Now, when you are identifying the applicability, the boundaries, you want to identify the physical boundaries, The physical boundaries will be the location where the business is situated, right? Now, why do you want to identify the physical boundaries? For example, if you have a critical infrastructure, right, in Bonu, let's say your office is in Bonu, your server is in Bonu, and we know that Bonu State, there is Boko Haram. There's this new one now. They say whether it is a Lukaramant, or what did they call their name, right? There is bandits and all that. Now, if you don't identify the scope, the physical boundary scope, how will you know the kind of physical protection you will give that facility? Because remember, the principle of information security, the fundamental principle of information security is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If there's anything I want to take home today, remember that the fundamental principle of information security is what? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means that the data is protected from unauthorized access, unauthorized persons. If you do not have a need to know, you will not have access to that information. A typical case in point would be for those of you who have experience in banking. Even though you have access to walk into the bank, you cannot enter inside the vault, a confidential space. And so unauthorized persons are not allowed there. That's on the physical side. Your laptop, for those of you who have corporate jobs, you realize that sometimes when you come into the office, before you can log in, you will be required your username and your password. That screen, that login screen that shows is a confidentiality control. What is it saying? This is a corporate device. Who are you? You say, oh, my name is Divine. Okay. Anybody can claim that their name is Divine. Confirm to me that indeed you are the actual Divine that I know by entering your password. Divine enters his password. And he now says, oh, yes, I have saved this secret password with the username Divine. You can now have access to everything on this machine. That is confidentiality control. Now, you can have access to the laptop, but there may be certain folders that you can only view it. You cannot make any change. That's where integrity comes into the picture. So what is integrity? Integrity is saying that only authorized persons can make modification, can make changes. If you have not been given the clearance to make changes, you cannot make changes to that information, to that data. That's why sometimes you will see that some documents will say view only, read only, meaning you can see, you cannot write, you cannot make changes. The controls that have been implemented to ensure that you can only see but cannot make changes are called integrity controls. The last part, availability, is saying that at every point in time, whoever is authorized to have access to that information, right? They say nothing is happening, right? You feel bad, right? Because you have been denied that service. And so information security is saying that not only do I want to protect the information from unauthorized access or unauthorized changes, I also want to make the information available at every time that it is needed. However, by only to authorized individuals. So when you see when hackers, they bring down a website, what they done also is to cause service unavailability. Have you wondered? Your internet banking app, sometimes you want to make transfer, you want to buy a recharge card, and it gives you error. What does that say? That service is not available at that particular point in time. So that's service unavailability. And so touches confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, why do I digress? Because it's important that we even understand what is information security all about. What's the principle of information security? So I've said it, if there's security, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, coming back to clause 4.3, if you have identified the physical boundaries, you can now know, do I want to put a gate to protect that facility? Depending on, do I want to put access control, biometrics, locks, padlocks, and all the likes? In determining the scope, is to also identify the information systems boundary. What do you want to protect? Applications? What kind of application do you want to protect? What hardware do you want to protect? What database do you want to protect? Right? You identify the servers, the databases, the application that are critical. Remember, we are talking about criticality first because you need to start with what is most important to the business before you begin to expand over time. So some of the things you do in defining the scope is identifying the physical boundaries, the technological boundaries, which is the information systems boundaries, is saddled with the responsibility of operating from that business location or supporting the application or the hardware, the infrastructure that is being used to support the business. And lastly, on that clause 4, right, I'm taking my time because this is the foundational part, right, that we need to get correctly. We are building a case, right? The last part is the information security management system, right? Every other thing that you do fitting into 4.4, right? Everything you do for the entire management system fitting into 4.4. Now, before I leave here, as part of determining the scope, understanding the parties, understanding the internal and external issues, is for you also to be able to identify why are we in business as an organization. It is under this context of the organization you define all that. What is our vision? What is our mission? What are our core values? What's the culture that we want to uphold? You define all that. Because if you don't understand why you are in business, how do you secure the business? How do you know the pain point of the business? And so you define all that in clause 4.4. Now that we have an understanding of what the business is all about, you come to leadership and commitment. That's clause 5. Will fail me. But for any project to be successful, there must be top management visibility, management approval, top management commitment. How management show visibility and support is what a the I would just write, how can management provide leadership, right? Because if there's no management visibility and support, the implementation most likely will not go on well, and you may not get value from the implementation, right? So management needs to approve policies. Management needs to ensure that the information security objectives ties to the strategic objective of the organization. The people who are saddled with the responsibility of information security, management needs to give them support, right? Needs to have 3 touch points: people, process, and technology. For any organization effectively implement an ISMS, the ISO 27001, they must touch on people, process, and technology. The policies speak on the process. People need to be aware, and the only way they need to be aware is that there is a policy that they read to know what is the expected behavior, what is the goal of the organization towards information security. And that's what 5.2 is talking about, that you must have an information security management, information security policy. The next one, 5.3, speaks to organizational rules, responsibilities, and authority. Right. Top management shall ensure the responsibilities and authorities for roles relevant to information security are, the underlining word, assigned and communicated within the organization. The people who will be saddled with the responsibility of operating, managing, coordinating, improving the management system, they must be identified. The role must be assigned to them. They must be aware that their roles, their responsibilities is to do A, B, C, D, E. Right? They must be aware. And how can you make them aware to them? And that's what 5.3 is talking about. Clause 6 is planning. Remember clause 4, context of the organization. Clause 5, leadership commitment. Clause 6 is planning. Under clause 6, you have certain requirements. The first is 6.1, actions to address risk and opportunities. Before you are putting actions to address risk and opportunities, you want to first of all identify what are the risks to the business. The risk are the negative impact to the business. That's a risk. Support from the OEM. By OEM, I mean the guys who are the author, right? The original owners of the tool, right? Of that application and all. For example, Microsoft is an OEM because they own the software, Microsoft. I know that most of us were not using XP. It is Windows XP. That system, right? Because of that there's some want to challenge the status quo and all that. That's an opportunity, right? You want to leverage on your strength. If you have management who creates an open door policy where people can walk into management, and share ideas, that's an opportunity, right? That you want to leverage and say, so in this organization, there's a open door policy that creates room for even the lower employee to walk up to management and share ideas. The list can go on. But at this point, you want to identify the risk and the opportunities. And then what action will you take to address the risk and to address the opportunities? 6.2 is talking about information security risk assessment, right? You need to carry out risk assessment, right, on information systems to identify the assets. For example, firewall, what are the risks? Different applications, what are the risks? So that you can be able to identify the control that you will use to address those risks. If you don't know the problem, how do you have solutions for that problem? So at 6.1.2 is for you to identify what are the problems that we have. Now, in identifying that problem, there are a lot of things that can go into that. You need to identify the vulnerabilities, the threats, the impact, the consequences, right? The risk level, right? This is just an high level class, right? It's not a full training class, so I may not want to spend time going around what all these definitions are. But if you are taking notes, you can just go online and do a search and see what the definitions of this is all about. So identifying the vulnerabilities, the threats, the consequences, the impact, the risk level. This level, right? What's the solution? How can I solve this problem that is confronting me? Right now, most organizations are complaining of ransomware attack. You have done a review of, you have identified that you can be susceptible to ransomware attack. You can be attacked by a ransomware, right? What do you need to do, right? You need to put in the controls to ensure that your hard disks, your devices do not get encrypted, and then the hackers, they're asking you to pay money before they decrypt it. So 6.1.3 is talking about the treatment that you will use to disk that you have identified. 6.1.2, right? There's another part within that 6.1.3 that talks about statements of applicability. I would prefer, just so that you know that there's something you need to do, right? Statement of applicability, and I'll leave it at that, because this is not a full training per se. It's just an high level training on information security. Now, the next control, right, would be 6.2, information security objectives and planning to achieve them. To set smart objectives, specific, measurable, accurate, reliable, relevant, and timely. Once you have set that objectives, what are the objectives that, because the objective that a fintech would want to achieve will probably be different from what a bank or an hospital would want to achieve. So you will set your own information security objectives, and not only set the objectives, you will take action, you will plan. How do you want to achieve that objectives? That's what 6.2 is talking about. And then you have the 6.3, which is planning of changes, right? There will be several changes that will happen within the organization. I'll tell you this story. Sometime last year, there was this bank that for more than 48 hours, I know as I'm telling you this story, you know the bank, but you will not yet the name of the bank in my mouth. More than 48 hours, the bank was down. What happened? Somebody made a change that was not controlled. And so the standard is saying that before you make any change, you must plan for it. There must be a planning. You must be able to identify, with this change that I am introducing into the environment, will it disrupt other services? Which services will it have an impact on? Okay, let's now assume that when we deploy the change, there's a problem. Can we easily roll back to where we are coming from? Right? These are the things that the standard will help us to, the standard is saying changes should be planned. Changes should be planned. Just a minute. Just a minute. Changes should be planned. Now, so there's the importance of change management I cannot be overemphasized. Right? Change should be controlled. Now, the next thing, seven is support. Needs to provide the resources, technology resources, financial resources, people resources. 7.2, competence. Whoever will be saddled with the responsibility must be competent. Imagine carrying an intern. That intern was press spoil. You know how to press spoil on the keyboard. Once you press, everything just comes down. Service unavailability. So you want to ensure that the people who are saddled with the responsibility of operating the management system are competent, right? If you know that they need them for training, that's what 7.2 is talking about. That people must be trained to be competent, right? That's 7.2. 7.3 is awareness. Not everybody you train. The people you want to train are people who are the people operating, maintaining, the management system. But however, because you do not want one to be the weakest link, there is a report that says that the most way that attackers, attack organizations is by way of phishing emails, phishing attack, right? You can check that out. Because of time, I don't want to go into details of what phishing is, but again, for those of us who are passionate about this space, you should know what phishing is. If you don't know, please just do a chat GPT and you see what phishing is all about. You don't want anybody in the organization to be the weakest link. So you want to carry out an awareness. What is the acceptable behavior? You want to tell them and say, do not click link that are suspicious. Do not provide credentials to people you do not, to anybody. Don't share your password. The do's and the don'ts. You want to make employees to be aware so that they will not become the weakest link. And I'll tell you this story. Some time ago in a bank, most times cleaners are contracting banks and they don't pay them well. Somebody just gave the cleaner a device and said, please, I'll give you this X amount of money. Plug this device, is a USB device, to the system that the operation manager is using. After like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just pull it back and bring it back to me. Now, the cleaner thought it was just a USB device, but he didn't know that that device is a key logger. So for every stroke of key you type, that device will record it, will store it. Right? For example, if you are typing your username and your password, to you, if that keylogger is plugged to your system, to you, the password is appearing in asterisk XXXXX. But at the back end, it is in plain text in that your keystroke. If you type press H, it will record it that this is H you typed. So what would the attacker do? They already have your password, right? It's just like if you give me your password to your mobile bank application. The mobile app is a moron. It doesn't know me any longer. It doesn't know who is who. As long as I am able to provide my username and password, that's what the mobile app needs for me to do any transfer whatsoever, right? So you want to ensure that people are aware so that nobody is the weakest. Assuming that company, they have done awareness for all employees and contract staff within the organization, they would have been able to intimate the cleaners, right? They would have been able to intimate the cleaners that they should not get any device and plug into any system, and all that. Of course, the bank, of course, they lost a lot of money because the attackers will do a replay attack. They will just go to a system. They now have password. They now have the would impersonate, right? Try user that human beings are the weakest link. Exactly, and well said on that. Okay, so as we move on, 7.4 is communication. You need to identify what type of communications you want to communicate. Now, how best can I describe this to you? If you are a bank holder in Nigeria, you would have gotten certain messages from the bank telling you, do not share your password. The bank will not ask you for your password. If you have received those kind of messages, some kind of message that do not share your password. I know. Have you received such messages? Yeah, I can see hands up. What is the bank trying to do? The bank is trying to comply to 7.4 of the ISO 27001, which is what? Communication. They are communicating to you so that tomorrow you will not say that you did not know, right? They are informing you exactly. Olabi used to say they are to be well informed and in tune about phishing with several simulations about the subject. I thought I should add that also into the explanation that I have given. Now, 7.5, documented information. There must be policies. There must be procedures. People need to know how to go about doing things. There must be a structure. There must be consistency. And that's what documented information is, right? This is how we do this. And let me share this story with you. I like to share stories when I'm talking about I take trainings. There was an attack that was avoided because the organization practiced 7.5. What happened? This organization, the standard says that you must have a control for documents and record. What is the font size you want to be using? The font style. Is it Calibri? Is it Times New Roman? Right? Whatever you want to use, the font that you want to use, you must have a standard, a consistency. Right? Now, this organization, they have defined their font size, their font styles, and they were trying to enforce it. In fact, they have ensured that it is enforced across the organization. But what happened? An attacker cloned the email of the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. No, of the CEO. I beg your pardon. Of the CEO, right? Cloned it and now sent a mail to the Chief Financial Officer and now says, kindly, I approve moving X amount of money to this account. And that was a huge money, right? Now, imagine me, I'm the MD CEO of a company. You are the Chief Financial Officer. If I send you a mail to move money to another account, is yes, sir, you should say. It's because I'm the owner of the company, I'm the CEO. But because awareness has gone out, because communication has gone out, the CFO realized, why is the MD sending me email not using our format, our font size? What could be the cause, right? You just, thankfully, that company is not a Hello, I'm back. Apologies. I'm back. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just wave your hands. Yeah, great. So the CEO, the CFO called the um, CEO and said, boss, this one that you are sending me email without using our format. Is there any problem? You are not complying to our policy. Those kind of jokes and all that. And the CEO said, no, I've not sent you any email today. He said, you send me email now that I should move this amount of money to this account. And the CEO said, no, I've not sent you any money. They now realized that it was a cloned account that was sending that email. Imagine if the organization did not enforce 7.5, clause 7.5. In the words of Yoruba, they will say, Oti law, the money has gone. Right? But because they practice that, the organization. That's the importance. So for every talks about operation planning and control, every other thing that you do, risk assessment, change management, policies, mention it, fitting into 8.1. 8.2 is saying that you must do the risk assessment at regular intervals, right? Not just one off, right? The treatment also, you must, implement the treatment, have it as documented. If achieving the outcome, you must measure. How do you measure? You must first of all do an analysis and an evaluation before you get the measurement. So the monitoring part is, have you identified the things you want to do? Monitor awareness, quarterly risk assessment, annual internal audit, biannual access control review. You have that calendar that identifies what you want to be monitoring. Then you want to measure it, right? So if you say you want to do, I expect you to have 12 awareness. So I'll be asking you, how many awareness did you do? If you say, oh, I was able to do 9, right? We'll do the analysis. So it means you did 9 over 12. I will do the evaluation, right? So the actual that you did versus the target, right? I'll then do that measurement to see if you are achieving the outcome and if there's a need for any improvement. 9.2 is internal audit, right? An independent team or persons within the organization should do a review, right? That you are complying to the requirements of the standard, and that's what 9.2 is talking about. Then 9.3 is talking about management review. The management must review everything, right? So that it is at that management review, right, they can know, right, where do they need to come in. If, for example, we have identified that we don't have an anti-malware in this organization and it is exposing our laptops to threats, right? During the management review, they will know and talk about all those things, and all that. It has its requirements there. And then you have improvements. You must be able to identify innovations to improve the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the information security management system. And then 10.2 talks about non-conformity and corrective actions. Obviously, there may be areas where you are deviating, whether knowingly or unknowingly. But at the point that you have identified that deviation, that non-compliance, non-conformity,
Can anybody hear
right?
me? Hello?
You need to identify
This one.
corrective measures.
Okay, I don't think I'm hearing Mike again. Maybe while we're waiting for him, I believe this is a very wonderful section. I hope we're enjoying it. How many of you are enjoying this section? His time is actually up, but I'm tempted to say we'll find a way to shift our reflection. I don't know if you're thinking in that line. Let's finish up with this. Are we together?
Yes, let's allow him finish with us.
Yeah.
I'm
So
interested.
let's allow him dish completely. Right. This is a very rare food that he is dishing here. All right. So Mr. Mike,
I'm
if
a
you're
sub
back,
person.
please go ahead. Okay, Mike, go ahead. Go ahead. We're waiting for you. Okay. I think he's going to join us soon.
Hello,
Right.
can you hear me?
Okay. Good to have you, Michael. Go ahead. Thank you. Okay. Um, okay, so while we're waiting for him, if you have questions, right, please kindly take note of them, right? Okay, I think he's going to be back. It's no more here. That's fine. Okay, so let's have a conversation, right? Let's have a conversation, right? This is a very wonderful session we have here, right? This is when we talk about standards, we talk about compliances. This is one of the soft area in technical practice that speaks louder, right? So much loud, right? Because if you ignore it, it's like the software, right? When relatively talking about the hardware and the software. So without the software, right, the hardware is null, right? So I don't know how can we do we have any person that want to share something from maybe something spectacular you've got from here? I know you have a lot, but maybe one person say something you've captured from here. So Kennedy, you are the first to raise your hand. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Mike, go
Can
ahead.
you hear
I
me
can
now?
hear you now. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, apologies.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so yeah. So as we wrap up, I've taken time to explain the management clauses, right? They are all mandatory clauses. You must do them. Now, the next part is the Annex A control, which is optional, right? And I'm just going to touch it briefly so that we can use the remaining time to take questions where necessary. I know I'm not sharing my screen at the moment, so let me try and share my screen now. Confirm you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see
Yeah,
your
great.
screen, Mr.
Now,
Michael.
yeah, excellent. Now, so the next part we want to go to is the Annex A control. Remember when we started the class, I said the ISO 27101, which is the information security system, right, has two areas. The control, right? The Annex A control is divided into 4 categories: the organization, the people control, the technology control, and the physical control. A5, we call it A5, is the organizational control. And it has 34 or 37 controls, right? I'm going to share this document with you. It has 37 controls, the things that you need to do to ensure that the organizational controls is implemented within the organization. Some of them include acceptable use of information and other associated assets, inventory of information and other associated assets, threat intelligence, right? Access right review, right? You have collection of evidence, legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirement, protection of records, privacy and protection of personal identifiable information, and documented operating procedure. Time will not allow me to, explain each of these. Like I rightly mentioned, I'm going to share this material with the convener of this event, and then to be communicated across. The other one is the control, right? From so I'll tell you a story with this. Why is it important to have people control? And this is life story, right? Something I don't fabricate stories, right? So in an organization in Lagos here, there's this guy who is a software developer. So this organization, their software is able to generate recharge card and they sell it to vendors. So he developed it such that he can recharge his phone and anybody he likes at will. I can imagine this guy having a girlfriend, right? You just tell the girlfriend, don't worry, every month I'll be crediting your account. You can call anybody you want to call. No midnight call. Day is night. No MTN midnight call and all that. I can imagine that. So one day he was caught and they asked him to go. Now, when he left the organization, he moved to Ibadan and got another job there and became their head of technology also there. Now, somebody who worked with him in Lagos in that company where he was sacked 2 years after now got a job in Ibadan in that same company and saw him there. I was asking, what is this guy doing here? This guy that has fraudulent nature and all that. It was not long. That guy resigned and left the organization because he felt he would be exposed. Now, what am I trying to tell us? that security is not only when you use technology. You need to put processes. Remember, I told us that we have 3 touch points: people, process, and technology. At the point of recruitment, you need to ensure that you are not employing a crook, a thief, a robber, a fraudster. Are you not aware about the recent news about a cybersecurity company that recruited an hacker from Japan? How many of you heard about that? Is it Japan or Russia? How many of you heard about that news? That a cybersecurity company recruited somebody who is an hacker. Oh, you didn't hear about it. If you check online, just Google it. You will see it. I don't want to mention the name of the company, right? I can even mention it. It's public knowledge. No before, right? They recruited somebody who is... So that's the essence of that control, A6, right? That you need to screen the people that you are employing. You need to get their references from where they are coming from. Let's even know whether they are owing them money or they stole something. And they are... Because if they steal there, they will come to your own company and steal. That's what clause 6, A.6 is addressing: people control. And the other things around there. The next one is physical controls. All the bollards, the locks, the manned security, the gates, the locks, the biometrics, the CCTV that monitors the premises, the fire extinguishers, every other thing, they fall in under A7, physical control. A8 is the technology controls, right? This is where you're talking about your MFA, two-factor authentication, right? Your anti-malware, your SIM, your WAF, your PAM, privilege access monitoring solution, all the technology, all the tools that you need to enforce the security. That's what A8 is addressing: technology controls, right? That's A8. I think that's the last one. So I talked about 4 categories in the Annex A control: organizational control, people control, physical control, and technology control. I think at this point, I would pause, and then we'll take a few questions before we call it a wrap. Once again, thanks to the convener of this session for having me on the call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike Ojih. I'm sure everyone has taken something from this informative session that we just had, and I'm very sure they'll all pass with everything that you have been saying. I'm very sure of that. Thank you very much, Mr. Mike
Okay.
Ojih. Okay, so if you have any questions, please raise up your hand so I can call you out, and then Mr. Mike will answer them. Oh, okay, sorry. Kennedy, Nosa, please kindly unmute your mic.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Mike, thank you so much. It's not really I'm going to ask a question. I just want to appreciate some of the points you raised, especially in the area of control. You mentioned organization adopting a particular front in writing their letters. That was very strategic. When some years back, when I was a manager in a multinational company, the issue of security then was not what it is now. But then I knew that people were using USB to do harm. So what I did was that on all the system, I installed USB control on them. So if you put a USB on it, you just quarantine whatever information that is there. Instantly, we just quarantine whatever. So that was what we were doing then. So, and also we don't, now that I came into cybersecurity, I started noticing the importance of certain things that one would take for granted, things like fire extinguisher in an organization, things like people coming into your office, your screen is on, somebody is trying to peep your screen. Those things are not very correct. So thank you so very much. I appreciate your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay. So, Blessing, please kindly unmute your mic. Blessing, are you on this call?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Michael. Good afternoon, Divine.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, earlier on you mentioned the risk and opportunities, right? So I just want to ask that at what point does the risk, the opportunity transcend into risk? Like, can you give like a scenario where someone is trying to, maximize just try to bring out something in our organization. Maybe you see an opportunity that you think would be good in our organization, and then it ends up becoming a risk. Maybe you do not really take time to gauge the opportunity very well, and then it turns into something that is bad. At what point does opportunity transcend into risk?
Okay, so if I understand the question very well, right, opportunity is not risk. There's a difference between risk and opportunity, right? Opportunity is positive, right? Um, Risk is negative. Now, is it possible that the opportunities that you have identified becomes a risk for the organization? Maybe,
So
right? Maybe assess you want to give specific example, right? On, oh, we used to have this was to our advantage, but somebody now, misuse it. Maybe somebody of trust. So let me give it this way. So let's say um somebody enters into the hands of all these 419, these people that will touch you, and then you go home and go and bring everything that you have. Maybe, that's what comes to mind, right? Naturally, it's not that you are a bad person, but you are under an influence, and it is that influence that is controlling you to do certain thing. And maybe in those kind of situations, right? But again, that looks too magical. But in reality, right, what is to your advantage, you use it, right? If you don't use it, right, it means that you are not improving. Things remain the same because you are supposed to leverage on things that are within your space, that are advantage to you. For example, if you have an anti-malware solution, right, you want to install on all workstations so that no device, right, will introduce malware to the network, right? But if you now say that, or you have a firewall that is not well configured, right, it will not protect anything. So when you do not take advantage of the opportunities that you have, right, there is no improvement per se, right? Things just remain the way they are, right? Maybe over time also, right, it could be some kind of negative because financially you will not grow, right? Maybe reputational wise also you may not grow. So there are no one way to it, right? But the most important thing is that you identify the risk, which is the negative things that can affect the business, that affect achieving the ISMS objectives. You also identify what are the things that are to your advantage, the opportunities, and then identify clear actions that you want to use to achieve the ISMS objective. So that's how I would answer that question, and I hope that that answers um, the question.
yes, it does answer like a part of it. The reason I asked this question is
Okay.
because the other time you mentioned bringing the role that Gen Zs have to play in technology these days, right? So let's say for instance you
Yeah,
have like
yeah,
someone a young person that is very like active when it comes to technology, and you know how young people can be, they can be very curious. If I was newly employed in an organization and I have an opportunity to actually
yeah.
bring an idea to life, maybe I have an idea that I feel like my
Mm-hmm.
work, ideally I should discuss it with everybody that I'm working with because it's a teamwork, right,
Sure,
before I just
sure,
implement it. So when
sure.
I discuss it with them and they be like, okay, let's try this out, I came up with that idea, and then trying out the idea, it ends up being something that is bad for the organization. As a young person that was just employed in that company, should I take that to be that that opportunity ended up becoming a risk, or how
Okay,
do I manage that sense?
okay, okay. Fantastic. Now, there's a difference between, I think also that there's just that thin line explanation, right? We also need to first of all understand what opportunity is. Right? Opportunity is not clearly an idea or an innovation, right? Or an initiative. There's a difference between an opportunity and an initiative, right? So I need you to clearly understand that. Now, what the scenario you just gave is an initiative, right? Where you came up with an idea, Now, typically also, if you come up with an idea, it's an idea. Naturally, everybody is supposed to review it, weigh it. Is it a good idea? Is it something we should implement now, or we should keep it in view, right? Or keep it in, and all that. So that's an initiative, right? Now, the case of opportunity that I explained is saying that if you have smart people in the organization, right, you want to take advantage of that, right, to improve on your ISMS, right? It's because you already have that advantage, right? If you have, um, what else again can I use? If you have competent people, right, or top management who listens, right, the implementation team can leverage on that to share improvement information, like, and say, okay, because we have management who listens, right, we can get them to be visible. You remember we talked about clause 5 that talks about leadership and commitment, because most organizations, management, they are usually not part of the implementation of the management system. So, but now that you have management, you can just go and say, oh, please, in all our meetings, we need you. You take advantage. So what do you want to do with that level of management that they have opened up policy? You want to get them, what actions do you want to take to get them to communicate certain information by themselves instead of the ISMS manager making such communication. So there are different ways this can happen. Now, I just gave those examples. It may not be peculiar to your organization. Each organization will identify what constitutes risk and what constitutes opportunities. In some case, they may not even have an opportunity. What they may have is risk, right? The next thing is to just identify what actions do they want to use to address that risk. So understanding the terminologies is also key, so that we do not just take the surface explanation that I'm giving, right, and then we want to now make it applicable within your organization. I hope that clarifies the
Yes,
question.
sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
you're welcome.
Michael. So please, Opayemi Daniel, please kindly unmute your mic.
Please, can I make a little contribution to that statement? Hello?
Okay, go ahead, sir. Yes,
Can
go
I
ahead,
make a
sir.
contribution?
Yeah.
Okay, what I wanted to say is that it's just like in security monitoring using SIM. Take for instance, now when you look at the traffic log, and you look at the log, the traffic alerts, and you see critical. When you see critical, you have to look at it. What that particular log that is critical, where is it coming from? If it's, for instance, a management system, a system used by management staff, and the alert is saying critical, it requires paying serious attention than server that an used by any of the staff. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying, because that would just be an opportunity for anybody to go into the system and get out and take control of the system and deal with critical information that pertains to the organization. So that's just what I wanted to contribute. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
very
very
much,
much
sir.
for that addition. Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Please,
Yeah.
Opayemi, please, you have the floor. Please kindly unmute your mic. Opayemi, please kindly speak up, please. Okay, if Opayemi is unavailable, then Opayemi Olumoroti, please kindly unmute your mic and speak up. Okay, Emmy Anthony, please speak up instead, please. Is there anybody that is wanting to ask a question to please just unmute their mic so that you can answer? They are running late.
Yeah, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Mike, thank you very much. If I let me call you Dr. Mike, for the work you just did. I've been looking at this ISO 27001, to be this big thing, but I'm so dazed the way you demystified this thing this afternoon. It's got me intrigued. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Please,
Thank you
here
for
is
that
the
question.
question.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Now, let's assume a CISO just been employed, by a company, and I want to implement this ISO 27001, because I've kind of discovered that is a standard of anything called information. If I must protect the data of that company, ISO 27001 is key. Now, the question is, how do I go about the implementation of this for this company, knowing that the company doesn't know anything about it, and I'm the CISO? Then number two, if, for example, let's say it wasn't implemented properly, and it led to probably a breach. There's a breach or an attack, to this company, probably a breach on the data's company. I understand that the regulatory body, one way or the other, is going to penalize or find this company because of not meeting up with the standard that led to probably that led to that breach. Now, how is the consequences, okay, from this breach? Regulatory body going to find this company now that just employ me, as a CISO. That is the number two. The number three aspect of it is, how do, as a CISO now, how do I make sure that every minute, every cluster of this ISO 27001 is being followed to make sure that the data of my company is fully protected? Thank you.
Please, can you take the second question again?
Okay, the second question is, if, for example, there is a breach, okay, or an attack, okay,
Okay.
to this company that just employed me as a CISO, all right. Now, I understand that we have regulatory bodies, talking about maybe like the data protection, what's it called,
NDPC.
commission,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, all
Nigerian
of
Data
those stuff,
Protection
and
Commission. Yeah.
yes, and all that. One way or the other, I understand that probably there will be a fine as to, okay, I didn't do, or maybe the company didn't do what he was supposed to do. That was
Yeah.
what led to this breach. So
Yeah.
please, can you explain to me what would be how does this fine take place from this
Okay.
regulatory body?
Okay. I think I got the question now. So the first one is how I'll just touch it briefly so that I don't just hit it on the nail on the head. Implementation of ISO 27001. To answer you clearly, my candid advice would be that uh, you should engage a consulting company that will handhold you at least for the first year, maybe second year and third year. That cycle, so that whilst they're implementing, you can be getting knowledge also, because it's a two-way side, right? So my candid advice would be that as a CISO, right, you can engage the services of a consulting company that do the implementation, because I am not sure I have the permission to suggest names, so I would not want to suggest names that you can use, right? Because I've not been instructed by the convener to do any kind of advert on that side. But you can check online, right? You can check organizations, maybe outside of this call, this platform. You can also talk to the conveners also. I am sure too that they may know one or two companies that will do the implementation, that will handhold you in the implementation. That's on the first. The other one, breach is breach. If it is your fault, the regulators will fine you, right? Whatever they fine you, that's your cup of tea. I think there's a percentage, whether it's 2% of your annual gross income, or there's a way it is in the act and all that. Once they find you, they find you. There's really nothing you can do about it. What you can do is ensure that you avoid the breach. Do your own due diligence, right? Put the necessary controls, right? If you have done your due diligence, even if there is a breach, right, you will not get fined, right? Because attackers will always look for covert channels, will always look for ways and means to exploit the system, right? So if they identified ways to exploit the system and you have done all that you can do, right? So even big organizations, they get hacked. I heard that one of the big four companies in the UK and in the US got attacked. So if a big four company, right, is attacked, what about other smaller organizations and all that? But the most important thing is that you have done your due diligence, all the controls in the ISO 27001, right, in those relevant frameworks and standards, you have implemented it correctly and you are operating it, right? Now, you talked about one of the things you talked about in the third question is around operationalization of the standard and maintenance of the standard. It's just to do the right thing, right? If you have a calendar, right, first you need to get top management support, top management visibility, right? They must support the initiative, right? Most times what top management they do is that they just provide the fund and then they withdraw. They are not anywhere around the implementation. That's why sometimes, right, if they are doing fire drill, most CEOs, they remain in their office. They don't come down. As if actual fire happens, the fire will not reach their office, right? That's already showing signs that these people, they do not support what they are preaching. But if the fire alarm rings and the CEO is the first person to join the staircase, you see everybody will follow suit. That is top management visibility and involvement, right? And so if they are involved, the implementation team in their own space also, they must ensure that they do the right thing. Now, as an information security manager, as a CISO, you must know how to communicate rightly to other people. Because when you are telling an operation person that don't do this, don't do that, the person say, Oga, leave me now. This is not my area, it's your work. Go and do your work, leave me alone, right? But if your person says, I understand your perspective, right? That yes, there are, this new thing I'm bringing to the table is increasing your workload. But see, if we don't do it, look at the impact. Is either we lose money or our reputation will be damaged, right? If our reputation is damaged and we don't have customer, you don't have a job, I don't have a job. So if you come in that way, they will support you, right? You will be able to, ensure that on an annual basis, because the way the standard has been structured, if you are going for external certification, right, you must do audit every year. So that audit keeps you at check that, oh, auditors will be coming the following year. You need to prepare yourself so that you don't have non-conformity. So it's a stakeholder engagement, right? Engaging the management support, this information security unit also driving, the adoption and use of this standard within the organization. Thank you. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. So as we wrap up, right? I mentioned earlier for those who were not part of this call when we started, that seeing that this is a good initiative, I like people who make impact. So when Digital Notion reached out to me, I felt okay, I could be part of this wonderful work that they are doing, right? So I'm going to speak with my partners, right? People also that I work with. I mentioned that earlier on. They are info assured. The link is there. You can see two links. The first one, I'm a managing partner there as a director. If you wish, you can follow. But I am more interested in the second one because I'm going to talk to them to release 2 vouchers for me. If they have much followers, I can and I got them to follow you on your social media platform. I need 2 vouchers from you so that you can give to the management, and then they can come up with a criteria to share for who will win the voucher at the end of the day. So please, if you have not followed Safe Working Info Assure on LinkedIn especially, please, you can do that. right away. And then personally also, I'm hoping that from January next year, I'll be churning out some content on my YouTube channel, right? So follow me. It's not compulsion. If you wish, if you like, you may also want to follow me on all platforms. I'm Michael Ojih everywhere, right? Michael Ojih everywhere. On YouTube, my YouTube link is there. You can also follow me. So back to you, are we taking more questions? So we are calling it a wrap at the junction.
We're going to call it a day. Thank you very much, Mr. Mike Ojih. I'm sure everyone here has taken something home for today. Thank you so much for contributing to cybersecurity. We are so thankful. Thank you very much. Please let's show our appreciation to
Yes,
Mr.
so
Mike reactions. Thank you very much.
thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
The
Thank you, everyone.
network
Yeah, thank you.
was
Yeah,
really
thanks,
disturbing.
Mr. Divine. Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Michael. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Kennedy, thank you. Yeah,
So
thanks.
much, sir. We are so grateful.
So, Kadi, just 1 minute. Yeah. So just to amplify Michael's voice, because like I said, some of you were not here when we started. I said I've seen what Michael did, has been doing in the ecosystem, and then I felt like because this internship is not, if you notice that this internship is value path, really. So while you are learning, while you are gaining, unlocking experiences, it's not bad to connect with um, our big giants doing great stuff out there. I mean, real players in the ecosystem. And Michael is one of them. So please feel free, follow him. He is a free person. I mean, I've seen what he's been doing. Feel free, jump at him. He has a very lovely heart. You know, this is one thing that I think it's more like a gift to every intern here. And then you've heard him also say that he's with us big time. So Michael is with us. I'm very hopeful that the next subsequent programs, I'm going to hold him like back to back, and then hopefully we're going to, come up with so a whole lot of interventions, innovations, and all that around this space, really. So, Michael, thank you so much for your time. You don't know how much this means. A whole lot of insight you've shared. So, in this particular space. Thank you so much. And I know my people, everybody here, we are very, very satisfied. This issue of, I've heard them
Thank you.
say a lot about ISO. I just had a testimonial. Somebody said that he thought that this ISO 27001 stuff is, he has been seeing it really like a masquerade, right? But you broke those things down really. And then I'm hopeful that a lot of us will start engaging really into this because information security, I mean, the place of, I was mentioning that I talked about this, the place of putting up structures, right? Building up fences doesn't just stop at the technicalities, right? There are a lot of things. That's why I fear these GRC people, right? You have a couple of policies that an organization have to put in place to make sure, right, things are working. Pen testers and all that, they are not always very free working with GRC people, right? And all that, because it's more like they're talking people, and then the pen testers are the systems persons and all that, but there will always be disconnect. Both of them are very important, right? So, Mr. Mike, thank you so much for this. I don't know how. I'm just thinking if any of us or any of the interns want to start up. I was hoping somebody will ask that question. If any of them wants to start up a consulting firm that is, maybe a security consulting firm and needs to be certified. Can you do a breakdown of the process? I think that's one of the things I was thinking that someone will ask that question. How does the person start from zero to where the person is expected to be?
Mr. Divine, thank you so much. That's a powerful question, sir.
Okay, so the best way I can answer that, right? Taking from my own experience, right? You cannot give what you don't have, right? You need to acquire skills, you need to acquire knowledge before you begin to consult, right? So I would rather say, first of all, acquire the skills, right? Get the experience, industry experience, right? I'm going to speak for myself so that I do not answer the question from a theoretical perspective, from just, I don't know, I don't know. I've worked in 3-4 banks and I've worked in 4 consulting firms. So I've worked with Intercontinental Bank, I've worked with Access Bank, I've worked with FCMB, I've worked with Polaris Bank, I've worked with Union Bank, right? And the only one I spent less than 6 months is Polaris Bank. I did about 4-5 months there. Now, you cannot compare that experience with somebody who is just new in cybersecurity and who wants to start a cybersecurity company. Apart from the banking experience that I have, I have worked in 4 consulting firms who are big players in the industry. I've worked with SM Systems, the security engineering and integration company. I've worked with Cybervagent. I was the manager advisory before I left. I've worked with Digital Jewels, which is one of the first IT GRC company in West Africa, right? Digital Jewels, right? I've worked at Digital Jewels. And I've also worked at Deloitte, and I left as a manager at Deloitte sometime earlier this year. So that's the experience that I bring. So it's easier for me to start up a consulting firm, right? Because I am bringing wealth of experience that I have learned in the industry and in the consulting space. So I would say, get the knowledge, get the experience, because the goal should not be getting money. The goal should be making impact, right? But the good part is that when you are making an impact, right, you make money also at the end of the day, and that's what a lot of people don't know. When people, they are always quick to wanting to earn a lot now, right, without going through the process. And like I said in one of my posts, trust the process. No pain, no gain. You know, bend your head down, learn the rudiments, right? Once you learn the rudiment by default, right, when you speak, right, you can tell that the things that I said here, they did not come out of me preparing for this class, right? I didn't prepare for this class. They were residual knowledge. They were things that I have done over the period of time that I have just come here. And that's why within 1 hour, I could do a summary of them all. So I would encourage, I would say, get the skills, get the professional certifications, right? You can start with ISO 27001 lead implementer class, right? My partner Info Assure, they do trainings, they are heavy on trainings, right? Or elsewhere, right? This is no preference, right? Cybervagent, Deloitte, Digital Jewels. I'm mentioning companies that they do trainings also, right? You could do, right? Now, if you want to go through me, right, I can get companies that can give you discounts, to do it, because again, I'm heavy on making impact, not making money. But I have realized also that when you are making impact, right, you're also making money. So I would rather focus on making impact than focusing more on making money. So if you want to write the ISO 27001 lead implementer course, you can just hit me up, right? We could arrange for something flexible for you, right? That would do that. And then you can write other exams. There's the CISA, right? CISA, there's the CISM, there's ISC2. You can write certified in cybersecurity is the foundation, and it's free, right? Let me type it here. This one is free. ISC2 certified cybersecurity. You can Google it, cybersecurity. I'm writing it there. You can start with this. It's free, right? You can start with this. So, and these are exams you can do. I'm typing it also as 27001 lead implementer, CISA, CISM, CISSP, CEH, right? Which other one again that I can put here? I think these are even a good to have, right? You can start with any of these. The first thing is pass the exam, right? right? So you see, you must cross one bridge before you worry about the other. Read and pass the exam and get the knowledge, pass it, right? Now, one of the things I've realized around maintenance, right, is the fact that if you pass the exam, it creates more opportunities for you, right? It creates more opportunities for you. Now, when you get a company, right, that employs you as a cybersecurity professional, most times they pay for your annual maintenance fee. So, what you want to do first of all is to break through, break in, right? I remember when I started my own, I did my exams myself, saved money myself, passed myself. I didn't get a refund. But immediately I got the first job, right, in line with what I do, the rest became history, right? And all the companies that I have worked in, they pay my annual subscription, my annual maintenance fee. So don't complain to anybody. Don't tell me you don't have money. That's why you are not improving. Don't complain that the nation is bad, the economy is bad, dollar exchange rate. Whenever there is a will, there must be a way, right? Don't move with speed, right? But don't be stagnant. Just be making steps. Baby step, not a baby step of pain, like Tinubu said, right? But be making steps, right? Save gradually. Save that money, write exams. Forget the stories. There's no excuse for failure. You can't tell people tomorrow and say it's because naira to is 2,000 naira. That's why I did not write professional. The people will laugh at you. That's what it. How did they get money? So you find a way to win. Write these exams. It will create opportunities for you. Now, for those of you who genuinely you want to build career paths in this space, join ISACA or ISC2 as a member, as a professional member or a student member, depending on your category. The first breakthrough I had in my career, I think I'm going to make that post. I've just been procrastinating making that post, was through ISACA, right? I joined a professional body. So as a professional member of that body, once there are job opportunities, they send it to us. That was my I went in for salary that was times 3 what I was earning before I joined them. And since then, it has just been, you have just been flying. So it's just that first step, right? But before you get that first opportunity, right, you must prepare yourself, right? A popular saying that opportunity will meet preparation. If you are not prepared, when the opportunity comes, you say, if I had known, I would have written that ISO exam. If I have known, by that time it is late. So what you want to do first is to build capacity and get the knowledge. When you get the knowledge, right, it will now be easier to consult. I think that answers that question. Yeah, Mr. Divine, are you still there?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for words of motivation also.
Yeah. Okay, guys, don't forget.
I hope you're all following Mr. Mike on
Exactly.
LinkedIn. I hope you're all following him
Yeah.
right now. He's
Actually,
going to make a post. So you have that motivation already. You will know what to do, what next to
yeah,
do, like he has said. So please
yeah,
let's make sure that we follow Mr.
yeah,
Mike on LinkedIn. His name is Michael Ojih
yeah.
on LinkedIn.
OG. Yeah, let me type it
Ojih,
so
so
that some people will go and put arrow. Michael OG. It's the name, right?
okay, someone is
So
asking, does this certification have an expiration
yeah.
period?
See, I don't like to answer this question. Go and get the certification first. When you get it first, the other one will become history. You must first of all, you cross the river. Forget every obstacle ahead, right? Me, I have never lacked to pay for renewal, right? You will not lack money to pay. This is not even prayers. It's default. Once you are good for you, a bank fee next, they will pay for certification. The only time to expire is if you are right, or if you do not report your TP. That's not the question we should here now. The first thing is go and acquire the certification. And test I have passed CISA, I have passed ISO 27001. See, there was somebody I employed. I did not employ the person because I employed the person because what the person was fine. I was the one that chatted the person and said, are you available for this and that? He says, oh, yes, I'm available. And got his job. So the point I'm telling you is that people are watching you. For every milestone that you achieve in your career, people are watching. They will come asking for you, right? And when they come, if you are prepared, right, you will jump. But if you're not prepared, the opportunity will not be clear. So first of all, go and get the certification. The other thing that comes after the certification is secondary at this particular, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I think if there are
We
no
can call it
question,
a
no other
day.
comment, please.
Okay, Kadi, I think we need to
Don't
relieve.
forget.
Yes, we need to
I
release
think we
Mr.
need to release
Michael.
Mr. Mike so he can do other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll not eat him
Thank you
up.
very much, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Michael. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
Bye,
so much,
everyone.
Mr. Mike.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.